The Breakfast Club tells the story of 5 high school students being forced to attend a Saturday detention by that douchebag cop from Die Hard who's an asshole in everything he ever plays, so he's an asshole here.
He's an asshole. You're an asshole.
The students consist of the rebellious bad boy hoodlum John Bender. Bender. Sorry, British thing.
It's not funny.
The spoiled little pretty princess Claire, played by Molly Ringwald. The jock wrestler Andrew, played by Emilio Estevez. The nerdy virgin Brian, played by Anthony Michael Hall. And the shy quiet outcast Alison, played by Ali Sheedy. They're given the simple assignment to describe who they think they are and are pretty much then left alone with the exception of a few check-ins. The rest of the movie is practically then set in one location while Bender
Shouldn't have said that.
harasses everyone and does his best to piss them off or embarrass them. We take the time to learn more about their backstories, why they're there, and they just end up growing as a group and becoming friends over the course of the entire movie, whereas they were complete strangers to one another at the start. Anthony Michael Hall was the first who was actually cast after starring in director and writer John Hughes' previous film 16 Candles, but Molly Ringwald was originally approached to play outcast Alison instead. She was quite upset and wanted the role of Claire, but others who tried out were Jodie Foster, Laura Dern, and of course my old buddy Robin Wright.
Okay, forget I asked.
Ringwald did eventually convince Hughes in the studio to give her the part, and Estevez also tried out for the role of Bender. But Hughes couldn't find anyone else to play Andrew, so he was stuck with that one instead. Upon casting, they actually did consider Nicolas Cage for John Bender. I'm sorry, I just can't keep saying his name.
Do I stutter?
For John, but they couldn't afford him at the time, and even a young Jim Carrey tried out for the part. Judd Nelson and John Cusack were the final two to be considered, and Cusack actually got the part but was switched last minute as Hughes felt like he didn't look threatening enough. He'd later regret it though, as Nelson often remained in character and harassed Molly Ringwald so much the other actors had to convince the director not to fire him. Oh hey, Jared Leto actually did have some inspiration after all!
Oh, really?
In fact, naturally over the years, people wanted many sequels to this picture where the gang would all reunite, but John Hughes refused to do it because he just refused to work with Judd Nelson ever again. Furthermore, Molly Ringwald also moved on and didn't want to do any more teen roles and severed any connection with Hughes as well. At least he found Macaulay!
Eat shit.
Oh, and John Kapelos, who played the janitor, laughed about Martin Sheen's real heart attack right in front of Emilio Estevez, not realizing that he was his father. I mean, he did end up forgiving him, but just a smidge awkward.
Holy shit.
And in my opinion, a missed opportunity. Rick Moranes was nearly cast as the janitor, but had to leave due to creative differences when he tried to add too much comedy to the part. But Hughes was doubted from day one due to his lack of filmmaking experience. He eventually managed to convince some investors that since he only needed $1 million, only,
Why don't you just shut up?
and it's only being shot in one location, there wasn't any risk. Filming began on March the 28th, 1984 in Maine North High School in Des Plaines, Illinois, and lasted until May that year. And Hughes would also later recycle this location for his other classic, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. However, the school's library was far too small, so a set needed to be built, and the movie was actually shot in sequence. But to make it even more impressive, Hughes claims that he shot both this and Ferris Bueller at the same time to save time and money. I struggle just to shoot one video.
That's real intelligent.
Apparently there was actually a director's cut that went 2.5 hours long, but John Hughes' widow has never disclosed it. But even the movie's poster set the standards for teen films of the future with how they were shot and marketed. The Breakfast Club was premiered on February the 7th, 1985 in Los Angeles, California, and was critically acclaimed. In February of 1985, the movie debuted as number 3 at the box office, only behind blockbusters Beverly Hills Cop and Witness, and ended up grossing an insane $51,525,171 on a budget of just $1 million. Just $1 million.
Shut up, Pee-wee.
But not only was it loved by fans, critics, and the box office numbers, but it's very often called one of the greatest movies from the 1980s and even of all time. I mean, who can hate this? It's the most 80s opening title sequence ever put to screen. And this is such a great David Bowie quote. Wise man, that bulge dude.
Except you got caught, sport.
I'm Mom already rang me, all right?
You want to miss a match? You want to blow your ride?
You want to not be as successful as your brother Charlie?
I do not mean a single word repeated 1,000 times. Is that clear, Mr. Bender?
I'm really sorry.
I don't care what you think.
But honestly, this movie is actually amazing. And it still holds up to this day.
Hey, homeboy, why don't you go close that door? We'll get the prom queen impregnated.
Okay, maybe not every line.
Oh, and wouldn't that be a bite, huh? Whoa, missing a whole wrestling meet.
Well, you wouldn't know anything about it, faggot.
Yeah.
You wear tights?
No, I don't wear tights. I wear the required uniform.
Tights.
Shut up.
Okay, and we're back. You know, arsehole teacher man spends ages trying to prop the door open, but why doesn't he just stay in the room with them? I mean, just seems like wasted effort here. It's not like there's not enough room in there.
It just closed, sir.
Who?
What the hell just happened? But honestly, one of the most iconic teen comedy scenes ever, and it is still hilarious to this day.
You just bought yourself another Saturday, mister.
Oh, I'm crushed.
You just bought one more right there.
Well, I'm free the Saturday after that. Beyond that, I'm gonna have to check my calendar.
Good! Because it's going to be filled. We'll keep going. You want another one? Say the word. Just say the word. Instead of going to prison, you'll come here. Are you through?
No.
I'm doing society a favor.
So?
That's another one right now. I've got you for the rest of your natural-born life if you don't watch your step. You want another one?
Yes.
You got it. You got another one right there. That's another one, pal.
Cut it out!
And you know what? Despite being hilarious, it also is great because it takes a trip into John's mind. But we're going to come back to this later.
I mean, I don't think either one of them gives a shit about me. It's like they use me just to get back at each other. Ha!
What the hell is the point in that? What's wrong with this lady? Just random noises all the time. What's she on about?
Claire.
Claire?
Claire. It's a family name.
Oh, it's a fat girl's name.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm not fat.
Well, not at present, but I could see you really pushing maximum density.
This guy's an arsehole! An entertaining arsehole, but still an arsehole! For the first half of the film, though, I did think Brian was kind of pointless. He doesn't really do anything, and he's not very interesting. He's just kind of there.
Where's your lunch?
You're wearing it.
You're gonna eat her shirt? Wow, my first boner. Seriously, look at the way he's staring at her. Look at those eyes. And this is just moments after we find out that he's a virgin. Whoop, I found my first. And John then gives an impression of Brian's family, but this is where the comedy lacks. This is just cringy and it goes on for way too long.
Son? Yeah, Dad. How's your day, pal? Great, Dad. How's yours? Super. Say, son, how'd you like to go fishing this weekend? Great, Dad. But I've got homework to do. That's all right, son. You can do it on the boat.
But then he imitates his own parents, and it's dark as hell with even more dark music. This is horrific.
Stupid, worthless, no good goddamn freeloading son of a bitch. Retarded, big mouth, know-it-all asshole jerk. You forgot ugly, lazy, and disrespectful. Shut up, bitch! Go fix me a turkey pot pie.
We even see that he's being burnt by cigarettes, and even the actor and director argued over whether or not this was real or whether the character actually made it up. But this is what I wanted to come back to. John intentionally getting as much detention as possible could have been just a ploy to avoid going home to his abusive father, and that's why he acts so tough as well. He'd rather be seen as a troublemaker as opposed to a pained abuse victim. And then an 80s montage! God, I wish I was around in the 80s.
We have to go through the cafeteria.
No, the activities hall.
Hey, man, you don't know what you're talking
No,
about.
you don't know what you're talking about. No, we're through listening to you.
What the hell was that?
Hey, man, you don't know what you're talking
No,
about.
you don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, you can't even see anyone make the noise. Did someone on set just mess up the take and they kept it in?
Shit. Great idea, Jagger. Fuck you.
Fuck you, why don't you listen to John?
We're dead.
Why? Well, because you can't get out. Because if you got out, then the teacher would just come along and then, oh, look, they snuck out. They're in so much trouble. Either way, you're screwed. Dumbasses. Why has John got odd shoes on? Because he's just bad.
Being bad feels pretty good.
The messed up thing is, the teacher even threatens to beat up John and claims that nobody will ever believe him if he reports it. So now you feel sorry for the douchebag. Then he locks him in the cupboard. Pretty sure that's illegal.
What was that ruckus?
What ruckus?
I was just in my office and I heard a ruckus.
Could you describe the ruckus, sir?
I love these exchanges. And then a stoned montage! Someone get me a time machine!
What do you need a fake ID for?
So I can vote.
You want to see what's in my bag?
No.
Honestly, John Hughes knew how to write teen comedy so well. Actually, he didn't, because that was improvised, and most of the exchanges were improvised by the actors, so... Sorry, John.
What did you want to be when you were young? When I was a kid, I wanted to be John Lennon.
You wanted to be shot in the face?
Oh, bullshit, man.
Honestly, I think the most shocking part of this movie is that every character, except obviously the parents and the janitor, get developed upon. The movie is only just over an hour and a half and it has 5 kids and 1 teacher. And yet we hear all of their backstories, their motivations, they all get enough time. It's amazingly written. When the hell does that happen?
Look, I'm not going to discuss my private life with total strangers.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it?
A what?
Well, if you say you haven't, you're a prude. If you say you have, you're a slut.
Still valid to this day. This movie was actually way ahead of its time. And when we get to Emilio's backstory, he gives this intense speech about how his parents put so much pressure and responsibility on him to win matches. And the acting is incredible. This is true art.
It's like me, like with my grades.
Oh, no one cares about you, Brian. Shut the hell up.
What do you know about trigonometry? I could care less about trigonometry.
Oh, could you? Could you care less? You could care less? How much could you care less?
What if I came up to you? The same exact thing.
You are a bitch!
I am acting! But this is the big climactic scene where hormones just explode, but it's done so well. The characters start out as basic stereotypes during an era where the stereotypes were at their peak. They're all from different classes that everyone encountered at school. But as the film progresses and they get to know each other, they realise that they're not actually that much different to one another. They all relate to each other's struggles and feel like this group consists of the only ones who truly understands them. Then there's another 80s montage! Then Allison changes. Oh my god, she's wearing pink! I mean, I guess it's a shock that she's in pink, but she doesn't really look any different. And isn't Emilio dating Claire? I mean, earlier this happened.
Are you guys like boyfriend, girlfriend? Steady dates?
So either they're screwing, which isn't true because she said that she's a virgin, or they're dating. Otherwise, what was the point of that awkward silence? So why now is he walking towards Allison? And where was this initiation? I mean, I guess they walked together in the corridor one time and he was the first one she spoke to, but it just seems random. And even more confusing is Claire kisses John. Where the hell did this come from? He's been a dildo the entire movie. What's he done for her to want him now?
But what we found out is that each one of us is a brain and an athlete
And a basket case.
A princess.
And a criminal.
Does that answer your question? Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club.
And why is it called The Breakfast Club? It takes place on a Saturday at lunchtime. For 8 hours. The Lunch Club. Who cares? This movie's awesome. Think of it this way. The movie is literally an hour and a half of just talking. And not once are you bored. There's no action or anything. It's just getting to know these characters. And yet, It's really entertaining. The characters are all interesting and memorable, especially John, who I think steals the show. The performances are great and the script is brilliant, but sometimes it's not even needed as the actors are just fluent with improvisations. But Hughes understood teenagers and how they act and think, and this movie shows that. It breaks down the teenage mind and really hammers home some powerful messages. If you've not seen it, you should definitely change that.